President Muhammadu Buhari assures investors of harmonious business environment in Nigeria. Debt relief to free funds for recovery efforts, says economist. Pension assets rise by 92 billion naira to 12.34 trillion naira in oil studies Thursday after dropping $2 on Wednesday on fears of Asian pandemic. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital, live. I am Liakatun Baba today. Begin the business of the day by informing you that potential investors have been urged to further explore the vast opportunities of human and natural resources in Nigeria, with a firm assurance that fiscal policies will be more favorable, predictable, and tilted towards achieving harmonious business environment. President Muhammadu Buhari, who made the play in France, already extracted serious commitments from Total on additional investments in Nigeria's economy.
Basically, what we have done is, in our discussions with all of them, we have made it clear to them that we are only interested in dealing with companies that are interested in manufacturing in Nigeria. For us, that is our key focus now, and we believe that anybody that we are going to that we will be patronizing in Nigeria must be people who are willing to come and manufacture whatever it is they want to do in Nigeria.
Total has been a very long-term partner of Nigeria in the oil and gas business, and we want that to continue. And we really hope we'll see a very constructive PIB and a win-win PIB so that we can continue to invest at a high level as we go forward.
Total is part of the bigger picture in our country in terms of oil and gas exploration and production, and definitely all the reforms that are going on, which is essentially to introduce more transparency into our business, create a more robust fiscal environment for our country.
Pension assets under the Contributory Pension Scheme (CPS) have risen by 92 billion naira to hit 12.34 trillion naira in March 2021 from the 12.248 trillion naira recorded in February. Latest report on pension fund industry portfolio released by the National Pensions Commission (PENCOM) also shows that total retirement savings account RSA registration rose by 34,911 accounts to stand at 9.3 million as at the end of March 2021 from 9.265 million recorded at the end of February 2021. Pension assets had dropped by 51.3 billion naira to stand at 12.25 trillion naira in February 2021 from the 12.299 trillion naira recorded in January 2021. The decline recorded in February was mainly attributed to the depreciation in the prices of fixed income securities of ISS in the trading portfolios of the approved existing schemes AES, RSA Funds 2 and 4, and closed a pension fund administrator CPFAJ by creating unrealized losses on mark-to-market FISS. The regulator, however, says the 92 billion naira gained in March 2021 has returned pension assets on the path of renewed growth. An agreement to push wealthier nations to reallocate $100 billion in International Monetary Fund (IMF) reserves to African states have been reached by African and European leaders. This was one of the outcomes of the France-Africa Summit in Paris. African leaders and the heads of multilateral lenders advocating ways of financing African economies have issued a communique of a substantial financial package needed so that African countries are not left behind in economic recovery from the negative impact of coronavirus.
It will be to convince others to make the same effort as France, starting of course with the United States of America.
Revenues are down, expenditures are up, and debt is high.
Meanwhile, the appeal to consider restructuring debt portfolios, opting for complete reliefs and releasing vaccines to the continent by President Muhammadu Buhari at the African Finance Summit in France is receiving positive reviews by economists at home. Uche Waleke, professor of capital market and financial economics, say if considered will afford the country more funds to speed up efforts to put the economy back on the path of growth and development.
As you know, the major challenge we have in this country today in relation to our debt burden has to do with the rising debt service ratio. So with debt relief, I'm not talking about suspension of interest payment, with debt forgiveness, that will reduce the burden of servicing debt, freeing up funds for these economies, including Nigeria, to bounce back, especially to see what to put in education and health in particular.
The Naira is trading at a record low this month, from low of 418 to 420 Naira to the dollar on the official market in what has been described as an unofficial currency devaluation. Has the Naira been devalued? Is this what we need at this time? Does the country have to stick to the dollar? We'll be getting answers on the program in a discussion segment, but that will be after this break.
Nigerian Microfinance Bank wishes to inform the general public not to give money to anybody disguising as its staff or agent to secure the COVID-19 Targeted Credit Facility or AGS MEIS loan. However, a training fee is charged by Accredited Entrepreneurship Development Training Institute (EDIs) for the training and business plan for the AGS MEIS loan. Whenever you are in doubt, please call us at 0901 002 6905. If anyone has collected money to help you get the loan, please lodge a complaint on our whistleblowing portal by sending us an email on whistleblower@nmfb.com.ng. Nigerian Microfinance Bank also wishes to inform the general public that the COVID-19 Targeted Credit Facility disbursed by our bank is a loan and beneficiaries must pay back with interest. The COVID-19 Targeted Credit Facility should not be misconstrued as a grant from the government. Call 094-621-730 or visit www.nmfb.com.ng for more information.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
To Ibrahim Mohammed Lawal, it was an unforeseen calamity that befell him and his businesses.
I'm long for more than 20 years in this business. During Corona, we have faced many challenges. You have your money. To see Kaya buy with your money is another difficult thing. So during that time, we faced many challenges. Kaya, they're very expensive. To say the truth, during Corona, I lost my money. I even get more money to borrow before I continue this my business. At times you go and buy car to see person who will buy it, and it's another issue. So you deal with Kaya before I know even do service of meat, but now this don't master me, because when my meat not finish, I'm going to eat my meat.
This 36-year-old has been a hustler who has ventured into various businesses and found his area of strength in running a provision store as well as selling meat. He has experienced some of the ups and downs associated with his kind of businesses, but the pandemic was the worst.
For long, when I started this business, since I'm with my father, they sell meat. After meat, I enter another business into provision business. There are some things that double their money. If you are buying something now, before you buy meat 1 kilo 1,500 naira. Now you buy kilo 2,500 naira, which is things are changed. Before you see cow to buy is another issue. If you see cow of 200,000 naira, now you buy it 400,000, 500,000. Most of business now to recover your money is another issue. So we need government to enter this issue to make Kaya Day low.
The federal government COVID-19 survivor funds. This is Ibrahim's wish for his businesses.
Government help me with that money, or if someone help me with that money, I would really appreciate, and my business will continue.
Boss Day Able, Business Express.
Thank you, Bosse, and welcome back. Like I said, we will be discussing the exchange rate and the valuation of the Naira. Our guest is Dr. Boniface Chizia, CEO of BIC Consultancy Services and Economic Financial Analyst, and he joins us from Lagos virtually. Doctor, good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Last week, the Central Bank of Nigeria removed the exchange rate from their web page. Until this moment, it is still absent. Some say it is a move towards floating the Naira. Do you hold the same position?
The central bank has its hands full with trying to manage the exchange rate. So if you have something on your website and then it doesn't conform with the reality on ground, then it's a bit problematic. And so, having a website and then given the rate at which exchange rates, the dynamics of the exchange rates, there could be some problems. So the thing is moving. It's like moving almost every day. Sometimes it opens and then by the close of the business, it's no longer the same. So you might be living a lie if you have it on your website. That's some I saw where you still have a 380 naira to $1, and we've long gone beyond that. So those are the challenges, practical challenges, which central bank would have to confront, and that's why you see that it's not being posted on the website. They don't want to mislead the public.
So what are the implications? Because we've seen some sort of activities in the parallel market that suggest that the Naira is gaining grounds. What are the implications?
Implication it will have is if you are operating from overseas and then you want to do some business in Nigeria, then you want to visit the website of the central bank. And one of the things you would expect to see if you visit the website is the exchange rate should be on display. And so again, so it doesn't tell too positively on us if they have to visit the website and they don't get an exchange rate. And so they start making calls and they start getting rates, and which to what extent they cannot vouch for the reliability of the rates that is being given by individuals.
Okay, just some few days from now, the MPC will be meeting, and of course we've seen inflation reduced to 18.12%, the figures released some days back by the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, considering the fact that Nigeria is recording a first slowdown, though marginally in that regard, is this decline since August 29, how will it be shaping the decision of the MPC?
On the board of NPC, it might be too premature. I mean, we're talking of a shift that was from 18.17 to 18.12. So it's so insignificant. It's something we celebrate. It's a movement in the right direction. The rates have been on downward spiral, for the past 20 months. And so this might be signaling an upturn, which is celebratory. But it might be too early because you want to make sure that this is not a fluke. You want to make sure that what the underlying factors, are going to be stable. So before you take a decision. So if you look at it, what are people expecting? So you're expecting the central bank to tinker with the rates. So the issue is not rates. It's not the issue of borrowing and so on and so forth. But people are people who have the capacity to borrow can borrow. So not in the rates. But what extent are the rates driven activities within the economy? It just signals in Nigerian economy. So I think that central bank, if I were on the board of central bank, we just go in and try and take a whole decision. So we take a decision and then we monitor things and see how it goes.
Benchmark of the budget for so many years has been tied to the dollar, with all efforts by the CBN to defend the Naira as well. Reserves and ECA aren't looking so good for some time since COVID came. One is tempted to ask, why do we still need to stick the reserve to the dollar, with considering all the currencies in the basket?
Well, I think that at the time we tried to have, during the time of Sanusi, we tried to have a basket of currencies and so on. But I think that what is in a name, what's important for Nigerians, is to focus on what is important, and that's focus on productivity. So you have an economy where you don't have productivity, which of course has been exacerbated, with the pandemic, course across, not just Nigeria. And so you have an economic base that's not diversified. So you have exchange rate inflow into the economy up to 80%. It comes from a source, and so that source, is as reliable as whatever as the weather. So there are issues. We're lucky that the oil price has gotten up to $70 a barrel. Otherwise, at some point in time, it got to almost $25 a barrel. And so if you add that problem to the fact that you have the pandemic and that you don't have activities within the economy, and that you are now trying to kickstart and restart various sectors of the economy, we are borrowing left, right, and center, and so on and so forth, then we have problems well cut out for us.
The Central Bank of Nigeria entered into a currency swap deal with China in 2018 to the tune of 720 billion naira. 3 years after, one would think it will reduce the pressure on the demand for the greenback. What do you think of that?
I think that it's one of those programs we went into that, if we have to speak realistically, have not lived up to the expectations. One expected that if we had this swap arrangement with the Chinese, what that means is that it's going to reduce pressure on the dollar. And so if the demand, if you don't export business with China and you have to remit your money, we're still going via the dollar. So we thought that would have happened. It was celebrated, but to a large extent, the news from there at best is muted. And so maybe quite a bit has been happening, but it's not been put out there, and to a large extent, it's not been seen to have impacted at the rate of exchange. But I think it was a good move, and if you can have more of such moves done, that would give us diversification in terms of currency of payment, so that it's not just all dollar and dollar and dollar. Everything is, any payment you want to make overseas, you have to search for dollar and so on. And the source of dollar inflow to Nigeria is just a central bank. So that has been the maximum challenge which we face.
Now, how can Nigeria paddle out of these waters when we're looking at the issues around it? Of course, we've seen, as you have highlighted, tremendous pressure on the dollar. How can Nigeria just do something that will reduce this pressure?
Well, I think that the activities in the economy efforts will come and assist us. So if Dangote refinery is going to come on stream in the first quarter of next year, as it's not projected, that to some extent definitely would impact on the demand for exchange rates. And the facts on ground say that importing petroleum products into this country will consume about 30% of our official exchange rate. And so if we take that off, the demand, then certainly that would have a positive effect. And so, but what to do is to manage our economy better. Since 1986, we've been talking about diversifying economic growth of this country. This country, as big as it is, has no business being monocultural, being dependent, single commodity for foreign exchange. And then also we have crises. We're not even managing ourselves to make ourselves attractive. If you remove the fossil fuel sector, this economy doesn't have too much of attraction for somebody to come from outside. You have crises everywhere. You have banditry. People are dying everywhere. People are being killed everywhere. You have infrastructure that is not reliable. Your power is not reliable. You have crises. Your road network is not there. Corruption is also a problem. Then we just have a big market, and we find that those who are dealing here are those who have been here for a long time. And to a large extent, I've gotten used to, you have a child with salt. You have a child with salt all over the body, and you get used to, how to carry the child, so it doesn't cry when you carry the child. So I think that's what is happening. We need to get our act together. There are so many things missing. We need to restructure this economy. if we mean business.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boniface Chizia, for spending your time with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. You have a nice one.
Thank you.
In view of the high cost of commodities in Akwa Ibom State in recent times, key stakeholders in the market brainstorm in Uyo to find a common ground for price reduction with a special focus on Gari. Evelyn Baduepo reports that the meeting, which is at the instance of the state government, resolved that 3 cups of Gari be sold for 100 naira as against 1 cup for 100 naira.
Gari is a commonly eaten staple food in the southern part of the country, including Akwa Ibom State. Recently, the high cost of this food commodity alongside other food items has become a source of concern to the people, and this is why the state government, in a swift intervention through the Ministry of Agriculture and other stakeholders, gathered to brainstorm on possible ways to regulate prices of commodities, especially Gari, to ensure food affordability and availability.
The union stops some people from going to the market to sell things at will. For instance, for the Gari commodity, they shade the days for them. They don't allow all the people that have Gari to go and sell, and that creates artificial scarcity. So what we have told them to do and what we will make sure we enforce is that they open the market for everybody.
Market leaders assured that they will do all that is possible to support the government in moderating the prices of commodities.
Now, union are putting registration at 300,000, some market 400,000, some market 500,000. If you don't put it, you want to. So today we have dissolved that union.
The problem is union, and that is why you see a lot of commodities price, is high.
I can assure the government that we are going to work as directed.
Already, a market monitoring committee has been set up to follow up the decision reached.
On that note, let's see prices of oil and other commodities in the global market. The equities market closed below 39,000 points on Wednesday to extend negative sentiments after Tuesday's trading. The all-share index declined 1.48% to close at 38,445.09 points, and equity capitalization at 20.04 trillion naira. 153.6 million shares worth 2.4 billion naira were traded in 3,494 deals at the end of the day's transaction. UACN Limited, Zenith and Fidelity Banks were the most traded shares, with a combined volume of 28.3 million shares valued at 346 million naira. Now that's the opening record this morning. On the global scene, stock markets struggled for traction on Thursday after a jittery session on Wall Street where cryptocurrencies crashed. Bosley Abel has global market updates.
European stocks are expected to open higher on Thursday, dodging concerns over sharp declines in Bitcoin and the U.S. Federal Reserve's hint that it could taper its asset purchase programs sooner rather than later. Stocks in Asia Pacific were mixed in Thursday trade, with data showing Japan's exports surging in April. In afternoon trade, the Nikkei was 0.19% higher, while the mainland Chinese stocks were mixed, with Shanghai Composite down 0.02% and the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong also shared 0.48%. U.S. stock futures were little change in early morning trading on Thursday after major averages registered a third straight day of losses amid a drop in cryptocurrency prices. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 4 points. The S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures both traded around the flat line. It's a slow start for stocks in Africa's most markets opened early trade mostly negative, but for Tunisia's Tunidex, it was 0.13% higher at 7,390.17. Boss the Able Business Express.
And also let's bring you up to speed on happenings in the exchange market. Before we go, let's give you a recap of some of the things happening in the economy. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari in France has been shopping for Nigerian investors and, of course, has extracted some commitment from Total. And also, the president made case for debt relief. The debt relief now has been, the request has been receiving some support from economists here to free up the space for more developmental steps in the economy. And with that, we end this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us by sending in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can catch up with every episode, including this one there. You can communicate with us also on Twitter. The handle is NTA News. Now we have all the episodes also attached there. Join us again on Friday 3 p.m. for another episode of Business Express. My name is Leah Katun. Baba today.